was very excited to film this episode, but somehow between that and getting out of bed and getting to my car, lots of time has passed. And I'm not feeling quite at peace today. Hence the headphones as well. I'm feeling a bit overstimulated, so I'm pretending to be a podcast host and you can pretend with me. Having said that, I would still like to show up for this program and especially because a lot of you told me that that watching the show is kind of like this pocket of calm in your guys' days, which is incredibly nice to hear. And I also, this is the only day I can film, and if not now, then when. So I hope you don't mind my relaxed nature today. Relaxed or not so relaxed. But I guess that's the thing about acceptance, that we make some plans, we make some commitments, and then the day is not up to our standards, or we're not up to our standards. Maybe we feel a little off on some days. Let's see what can happen if we show up anyway. One thing that can happen is you get overstimulated, which you can help yourself with as well. So, okay. So, before I start the list of this month's episode, I would really like to acknowledge how grateful I am for you guys watching my last episode. And it was officially the most viewed video on my channel. It was over 2,000 views. That's the most views I've ever gotten on anything on YouTube. So I'm very, very grateful and very, very happy. And yeah, I'm happy to see you here. I'm happy to see you commenting and liking. And yeah, it's been a great learning experience for me in letting go, in accepting, in continuing. It's extremely hard for me to continue with things, so when I say I really appreciate you guys, I really do, because it motivates me. If this is your first time watching, my name is Nika and I'm an artist living in Iceland. This is the 5th episode of my series Wonder Club, where every month I share a list of things that bring me joy and inspiration. This is also my attempt at containing my interests, at sharing them, connecting with others. And like I mentioned, if you find watching my video to bring you calm or bring you at least a drop of inspiration, then my purpose is fulfilled. My purpose is fulfilled. So I planned this episode to be dedicated to summer, and Iceland delivered. It's a very windy and foggy, cloudy, rainy day. So again, I'm not filming where I was supposed to be filming. But anyways, what I meant to say about summer, the summer is here. And I've always have trouble believing. It's like I'm waiting for it. I'm always waiting for the season to come, and then it's kind of like I'm waiting to feel like a kid on Christmas, and I never do. And then it just passes me by. So don't get me wrong, I'm not a summer person. I'm a Nordic summer person for sure. I like the colder temperatures, but it's really hard, I think, as you age, not to be that person, but as you age, it is harder for me to be in tune with the seasons, with the changes, with the holidays, with things that are culturally anticipated, like the summer, holidays, Christmas, or other types of holidays. And I really want to make an effort this year to experience summer. That's why I'm focusing almost a whole episode on this. And at the moment of recording this episode, the lupines that in the last episode were just barely unraveling, they're now in bloom. They're not fully in bloom, but that moment between fully in bloom to already, what's the name in English? When they're in bloom, but so quickly already wilting. So that moment is very short and very precious and very full and beautiful and purple. So this year, I'm attempting to really savor that, and I look at the lupines every time I see them. I try to take photos, record them. I really want to sink into that experience this year. And the grass is always an indicator for me here, because that's the only thing there is. I mean it in the best of ways. I love Iceland, but it's not, there's not many trees, especially where I live. So I observe rocks and I observe grass, and the grass is such a vivid reflection of the seasons here. Now it's getting green, but it's not that Iceland green yet. It's kind of mixed in with yellow, kind of rusty, pale colors. But that moment when you see the switch from it being super completely dead to getting green, I think that's a beautiful moment worth stopping over. Yeah. What else in my corner of the world? We had another eruption, which would be eruption number 8 or 9, I think, in total. I'm not quite sure. I hate to say it, but to people living here, it kind of becomes like part of the weather. I don't want to say for everybody, but that's been mine and a lot of my friends' experience. It's a little dystopian to keep watching the volcano erupt and the people living in Grindavik getting this feeling rehashed that they can't go back to their homes. So that's from the news segment of this show. And yeah, let's get right into the first wonder of June or May. June. So wonder number 1 is, as I mentioned before, loving summer. Usually the scales on that topic are tipped the other way. Usually the people are trying to convince themselves to love cloudy days, to remember the sun behind the clouds. They try to find joy in those gloomy weather days. And I've always been the opposite. I spent so much time wondering what's wrong with me, and I found it really sad that I could only feel comfortable in a rainy and gloomy weather. And I've grown into it now, especially living in Iceland. But it is quite hitting here, because here I'm not the only person who's complaining. Here I'm the only person who's joyful. Well, not actually the only, but that's the generalized experience of me and the weather here. So I'm never actually too excited for summer, except for summer in Iceland or summer in the Nordics. Yeah, and I feel like it's very obvious for the general discourse to love hot weather, but I'm actually really stressed about it. I don't like the experience. I believe we must experience it differently somehow. But having said that, I still don't want to be for hot weather people what they are for me. I don't want to rain on their parade, so I'm making a conscious effort to love summer. And there must be some things I loved about it as a kid before I intellectualized it all. And so I'm leaning towards that. I'm leaning towards ideas from childhood, and I want to experience summer in that pure, joyful way. What I want to encourage you to do is to make a summer bucket list. I know that's everywhere on social media, but I really want you to commit to making a summer bucket list like they do in the 2000s children movies. And what's one of the core things for me on my bucket list is, let me check actually. Oh yeah, one of the core elements is learning a skill, but committing to it a whole summer. It's like you're at home for 3 months. I know most of you guys are not, I'm not, but just to make as much time as possible for that said skill and give it your all and go for it like a child, learning and being motivated by the process and by seeing yourself in this like short period of time, seeing yourself improving on the skill. I find it really motivating and really energizing, and yeah, perfect summer activity. Another thing, reading a lot. Reading a lot in the summer, that's super romantic for me. Makes me think of this like summer vacation nostalgia when you're still in school and you have your summer reading. Laying in the sun. Obviously here we're quite deprived of that. You can do that, and I have done it, and it can be beautiful, but I do have that picture in mind very strongly. I want to lay somewhere on some rocks when there's no wind and I'm just in this stillness, warm. I'm not cooking, I'm just enjoying. So yeah, that's one important thing on my bucket list. Another thing was feeling warm wind in my hair, but warm, not hot. Spain, I'm looking at you, not hairdryer. Yeah. And I think when we do these things, when we dedicate our attention to even these small bucket list points, I think we add something whimsical and special to our lives, which makes it all worth it. And also, here's to challenging our perspectives, right? I'm really excited for it, and I believe I can find a way to love summer, not only in Iceland. So wonder number 2, staying with the summer theme and why I love Nordic summers, is the white nights. I feel like here in Iceland the relationship with the sun can be so strong, especially because we're deprived of it in this straightforward way. But then I feel in the winter you have these sunrises and sunsets that are so easy to catch. There's not many hours between them, so you don't have to wake up early at all to watch the show, and then you don't have to stay up late because it's also early. So you can catch sunrise and sunset almost every day if it's not too cloudy, and that is such a special blessing. And then in the summer you have these white nights where daylight is basically 24 hours. I don't remember it being that intense last year. I guess it has to do with how cloudy the sky gets. My first summer here in Iceland, I remember having at least this kind of 3-hour bluish dark blue night. This year I have not seen it. I have not seen a night in the last 2 weeks, and it makes me really happy. It makes me also really it makes it hard to regulate ourselves sometimes, because you just want to, if you're a person who wants to do everything in a day or really struggles to do one thing and it feels like they have a lot of time because it's still bright outside and then it's 1 a.m. and you're just starting. So yeah, it can be difficult, but I find it so beautiful and so special, and I really encourage you to experience at least once in your life, a white night. Driving during a white night, oh my gosh, that's going anywhere to waterfalls or to nature spots. I think it's so special. Now, wonder number 3 is something I mentioned before and something I mentioned today. And it has to do with my favorite patch of grass. So my favorite patch of grass is getting green, and that is wondrous enough for it to take the wonder number 3 place in the June video. I think it's super special to have a favorite patch of grass, and I like observing it. It's in one of my favorite nature spots, and every time I go there I observe the changes and I try to find it in the winter. And why I initially loved it is that it seems like in that square the shades of blue in the green, they are more visible somehow, and just this mix of blue and green, I've only seen it here in that way. Yeah, I've let myself obsess over it and call it my favorite. Okay, number 4, again on theme with the nature. It's spending time with a body of water. And I first was made aware of that as an activity when a colleague from my MFA program mentioned that he did not imagine living somewhere where he doesn't have access to a big body of water. And it could be a river, it could be a sea, but it had to be accessible and for them to spend time with it. And I found that really curious back then, I remember, and I never considered that as a requirement before. But I was made aware how that was truly part of, like, an important part of living somewhere, and not just of living. The city I'm from has a river going through it in multiple places. It's very easy to access. And yeah, since that moment, I think I remembered that significance. And just the other week, I was sick and I came across some advice video. Somebody's grandma was sharing advice. I couldn't find it for the life of me right now, but one of the advice said that to go and spend time by the water, especially when you're sick, because we're made of so much. We're made of 70% water or something like that, and that's just simple math. And I mean, I like this approach. I am so prone to believe a whimsical advice like this, and I do find it true. And I did go to stand by the sea that day, and I did feel better. I don't know if it's because of grandma's magical advice or just the qualities it provides. I believe, well, it's probably tested somehow scientifically that looking out to the sea or looking out to vast landscapes makes us feel more at ease and can decrease our stress, and that's probably helpful, especially when you're sick. But I do find it super special to spend time with water, especially the ocean or the sea. I feel that when you cannot carry something, or you feel like things are too heavy, you can stand before the sea and it feels like the things are not as heavy anymore. They seem smaller, they seem lighter. It seems like there's enough space for them, when before it was just our heart or our brain or our stomach that was handling them. All right, wonder number 5. Wonder number 5 has to do with appreciating the mainstream. So you know how we call, usually when we have something like a comfort show, comfort movie, comfort music, usually those things are a mainstream piece of culture, mainstream piece of media. And then what goes behind a comfort film, comfort show, goes guilty pleasure. And we like to feel guilty about liking or exploring things that are generally liked by the public sometimes. Things that are labeled as mainstream. It's tricky to like them sometimes, I think. To admit that we genuinely find things of value, messages of value in the pop culture, in the mainstream, processed food of media kind of thing. And I was always questioning that, and now I've grown into confidence around it. And I no longer use guilty pleasure as a description of those things, because I don't believe I need to be guilty about finding magic literally everywhere. Because you can have a gourmet meal and that's fine. You can love sushi, but you can also love chicken nuggets, and they will both make you happy, and they're both a part of this world. Am I tearing up at the thought of chicken nuggets right now? Yes, I am, because I'm really hungry. But yeah, so I guess appreciating the mainstream and holistic approach to culture, including pop culture, that is inspired by the final episode of Vampire Diaries in the season 3, final episode of season 3, called The Departed. So I started watching Vampire Diaries a few months ago. I have not seen it when it first came out. I was a Twilight girly. I did not touch Vampire Diaries until now. So I was watching the season finale, and what I love about watching mainstream shows and mainstream films is that when you have beauty there, when you have truly cinematic scenes, they hit you harder because you don't expect it there. You go there for a different kind of experience. And then if you're met with good cinematography or with just an emotion so well portrayed that you didn't expect it, more so than going for a more sophisticated type of films, I think it's so beautiful, and I think it's so worth it. And so there was a scene at the season finale that probably a lot of people who watched Vampire Diaries, they remember, because it's a very significant moment in the series. So I was really impressed. And then I was watching it, and I knew in the first seconds why I'm being impressed, because the image with the music, they combined so beautifully. And I knew instantly, okay, this I know what this is. And it was a song by Sigur Rós, and that's an Icelandic band, a very known one. And I just didn't expect to have that fusion of a Sigur Rós song in a old, now it's old, right? Old American show. Those two words didn't connect for me, and thanks to that episode, they did. And I found that scene really beautifully complemented by the song. Let me just check on the title because I don't want to say the wrong thing. So the song is called Dauðalogn. At least that's how I'm going to attempt to pronounce it. And it means dead calm. Please go and listen to it. It's transcendental, like all of their songs. And I've already have picked one of their songs. It's called Gold, for official song of my summer. I picked it, I think, beginning of May. But this one is a strong contender. Maybe more for the rainy days, but I find it super accurate when you think of Iceland and of that specific eerie mood of calm and grandeur, if I can call it that way. I can read to you a comment that is, when I searched up this song on YouTube, there was a comment added by a user named Miss Celtic Lover, and the comment was added 10 years ago. They translated the lyrics to English, so I can give my best attempt at reading them for you. It reads like a poem, and I am not good at reading poems out loud, but I will try my best here. The world silent, no movement in the highland. Sounds like the silence of a grave. There is no one awake. There is no rapid tempo. Total dead calm. Yet the noble believe people may show hope. I see through the calm, all towing on the centuries. We realize it's easy. Tourists and me fill the mountains. This echoes in our heads. There is dead calm. Yet the noble believe people may show hope. Through the flames I see, now a dark boat wander into the hope. The morning rain, all its calm ripples in place, and the seagulls attacks in, and the seagull breaks into the dead calm. Obviously, English doesn't give justice to the way it must sound in Icelandic. I still find it really, really powerful and beautiful to experience, especially here sitting in my car in the rain, and I was listening to the song as I was reading, so it feels like a good, complete experience. So yeah, that was wonder number 5, and thank you for watching and being here with me. I hope that you'll enjoy your summer. I hope you will make the bucket list and do at least one thing on it. Yeah, thank you for being here with me. It means a lot to me.